Hey guys, welcome to Silicon Valley Girl. Today we're going to talk about something we've been talking to my friends, to people, entrepreneurs in Silicon Valley. We've been talking about this for quite a while internally, but now I think more and more people are talking about this, and this can affect everyone's life. This is something massive. This is something that has happened before, and we might be the generation who would experience the shift in the world that might happen soon. Today we're going to talk about changing world order, and you have to see a video by Dalio. It's been watched by over 7 million people. It's what a lot of people are talking about. And since Dalio is an investor himself, in this video I will explain what he talked about. I'm going to tell you what I think, and by no means this is an investment advice. I am just a creator on YouTube who started investing back in 2020. I will also show you what a professional investor thinks, what he thinks about a portfolio for 2022, and I will also talk about my strategy for investing this year. And this year I'm actually working with an investment specialist because I feel that I don't have enough experience, and I hired someone who had experience going through crisis, going through 2008, going through dot-com bubble, because I want someone who has experienced these macro events and survived through them. So welcome to this video. Let's talk about something that's going on in the world. And again, this is not a call to action. This is just something to think about. So in a one-liner, what Dalio is saying is that there is a chance that the dollar stops being world reserve currency. And this is something to really think about, even in terms of companies. Let's think Silicon Valley. I was always like, why are all the top companies here in Silicon Valley? It is because there are so many dollars here, so much money that this country can borrow, and to put it into companies so they can take over the world. Yes, people are talented here, but I think if there is like a test on how talented you are, I'm pretty sure we have extremely talented people in Europe, in India, in Brazil, everywhere. But if you are in the US, and this is why a lot of people come to the US, if you start a startup, you get this influx of money that lets you take over the world. But what's happening right now, even in your daily life? Yes, you use Google, yes, you use Facebook, but guess what? You also use TikTok, owned by Tencent in China. More and more people are using Alibaba. And so what Dalio is implying is that Chinese economy and everything in the world is working towards China probably taking over the US. Of course, there are things US can do to prevent this from happening. But if this does happen, we're gonna end up in a completely different world. It might happen peacefully, but Dalio looks at the history, and it doesn't always happen peacefully. Sometimes wars happen, and we already have a war going on in the world right now. Now, what Dalio says, so in order to change the world order, you need first government of a country that might be affected by this, think USA, printing money, even if the interest rate is low. This is what we see happening. And in reality, 80% of all US dollars in existence were printed in the last 22 months. So we definitely have this happening. Number two, what Dalio says is you need to have internal conflicts. Oh, we do have them. This gap between the rich and the poor, Republicans versus Democrats, and all the conflicts we had in the past 2 years. And when internal conflicts happen, people become less productive. Country is focused on things that are happening internally, and other countries, meanwhile, are getting stronger with their army, economy, etc. And number three, we need external conflicts. We have them right now. And if we look at previous empires that were dominating the world, the Dutch Empire, it ended with a war. Then Great Britain took over, and after World War II, the US took over because Great Britain couldn't pay off the debt that it accumulated during the Second World War. And so he's actually saying, and you really need to watch that video, he's actually saying we're somewhere here, like at least he's implying that the US might be somewhere here and China might be somewhere here. So we might be heading towards this cycle where Chinese currency is dominating the world. And in the worst case scenario, if this was to happen, what he also says is that decline starts happening gradually. Like, oh, we have this internal conflict, people might be withdrawing capital from American stocks, blah, blah, and then might happen very suddenly. And this is something we're afraid of. And this is coming from a person whose only passport is Russian. And my parents, grandparents, and every dollar that they save, ruble that they saved, is in Russia. And Russia is going through the crisis, which means If you get something in dollars, they are automatically converted into ruble. The dollar fluctuates like crazy. People can't withdraw dollars. Like, there were so many laws imposed in the past 2 or 3 weeks, and people's lives changed dramatically. By the way, this is not to defend someone or talk about how badly Russian people are affected. I'm just talking about what it means when crisis starts suddenly. And the next question I asked myself, okay, if you are functioning in this turbulent world, how do you even invest? Like, and by the way, holding everything in dollars is really expensive. The inflation rate is over 7%, which means that, let's say you have $10,000 in savings at the beginning of the year, it will cost you 7.5%, which is $750 in value to store them on your bank account that doesn't generate any interest. So by the end of the year, you will actually have $9,250 worth, in value. So this will be your purchasing power. Having money in cash might seem psychologically easier, but economically, it is very, very costly.
Historically, stocks have been a good hedge. They tend to outperform inflation over a long period of time. You also have specific instruments that are designed to deal with inflation. So for example, something called TIPS. That's Treasury Inflation Protected Securities.
So I started talking to investment advisors. I started researching, what does Ray Dalio actually invest in? Like, if he believes that this is something that's happening, maybe he already transferred all his money to China. Maybe he already, bought EN or whatever. And when I was looking at all of this, I was like, but how do you invest money in 2022 then? If it's not cash, and we're going to talk about crypto. Talking about crypto, this video is brought to you by YouHodler, which is a Swiss company, which is a bridge between a conventional economy and the new digital economy. It is very user-friendly. It has a web version. It has an app for Android and iOS. All of your crypto assets will be protected by Ledger Vault's industry-leading security. YouHodler has savings accounts with very high interest, up to 12.3% annual yield without any risk, coupled with compound interests and weekly payouts. No locking time and instant withdrawals. If you don't have any crypto yet, no worries. YouHodler is actually an exchange platform where you can buy crypto with your dollars. And you can do that in seconds. If you think that crypto is too volatile, YouHodler has a special product which is called multi-hodl, which helps you extract profit in any market condition, no matter if the market goes up or down. Also, you can use your cryptos and your NFT as collateral for crypto loans with the highest loan-to-value ratio, 90%. And you can get loans in euros, dollars, francs, British pounds, bitcoins, and other currencies, or stable coins, and withdraw instantly to credit cards or banks. Now, unfortunately, I know I have a lot of viewers from the US, but YouHodler is not yet available in the US. But if you're not in the US, it is available, and if you want to check it out, the link will be down in the description below. Thank you, YouHodler, for sponsoring this video. I started looking at what Ray Dalio's fund is invested in right now, and it doesn't look that scary because I thought maybe they're like transferring all their money to China. So what they have is S&P 500 5%. This is the US, so we're fine here. Procter & Gamble 493%, US. Vanguard VWO Emerging Markets 4.83. This is where emerging markets come to play, and they're number 3 in terms of how much money Ray Dalio actually invested. Then we have PepsiCo 3%, Johnson & Johnson 3%, Costco 3%, Coca-Cola. So these are all American. Number 8, Alibaba 2.95%. And then number 9, iShares Emerging Markets 2.89%. So out of his top 9 holdings, 3 go into other countries. And this is a great signal for diversifying your portfolio. So I decided that, my portfolio, my growth portfolio should be something similar. I talked to my investment advisor and we decided that in 2022, there should be a slightly bigger focus on emerging markets. And when talking to multiple investment advisors, everybody says that it is worth having crypto in your portfolio. The amount of it should depend on how risky you are. For me, we decided it's going to be from 1 to 3%, and it's going to be something that I buy myself, and I will be only buying like Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, something that is widely used. I am not speculating on like meme coins.
So crypto, you would really have to be an aggressive investor for that. I don't recommend it in someone's portfolio as like in anybody's portfolio. That's not something I would recommend, simply because it's so volatile. It goes up 10% any day.
But you can't just ignore it, right?
You can't just ignore it, that's right. And
How do you not ignore it?
so if you want to be aggressive and put some money in crypto, go ahead. Maybe do it with a few percent of your total liquid assets, 1 to 3% maybe. But keep in mind those risks, like it's very volatile.
Let's quickly take a look at my growth portfolio that we created together with the investment advisor. But basically what we came up with is that we're still going to invest in the US, 44% on my growth portfolio. And by the way, growth portfolio doesn't mean that everything goes into it. I have another portfolio which is going to be 20%, and this is going to be like a conservative portfolio, just in case something happens. And it is not, by the way, my investment advisor told me to not do this safe portfolio. It's just me who wants to be safe. But anyways, in the growth portfolio, 44% goes to the US, then 14% goes to Europe, Australia, and other developed markets. Then 9% goes to Asian markets. And then again, we have smaller US, then we have just some protection instruments. So in general, the strategy is still very heavily US oriented, just because I see my future here, just because I still believe in this economy. And it looks like if you talk to investment advisors, they still believe in the US economy.
For now and the next couple of decades probably, we don't really see or forecast the US dollars. We still think it's going to be the world's reserve currency. China is not competing quite yet, and of course you have cryptocurrencies, which are now a much larger proportion of total money. And the concept is very interesting, but at most stores, people are still paying in dollars. A lot of transactions internationally, companies pay each other in dollars. So it'll take some time for any change to happen. And for the next, hopefully, decades, the US is still going to have a strong currency. That's what we forecast. It could change, I don't know.
But we should be mindful of what Ray Dalio has described. So by adding ETFs that focus on emerging markets, by adding individual stocks like Ray Dalio did when he added Alibaba to his portfolio, these are the small steps to protect yourself. If you ask me, and by no means I'm a great economist, I actually have education, my primary education is mathematics and economics, but I'm a very beginner in all of this. But if you ask me, like, Marina, do you think this is gonna happen? I would say yes, but I am a believer in technology. I'm a believer in Web 3.0. And I actually think the next cycle won't be classic. It won't be just China. I think it will be still US, then we're gonna have crypto, and we're gonna have China somewhere. But crypto will be dominating. I don't know. And again, don't quote me on that, but seeing people lose trust in their governments because they do awful things, seeing how dependent a lot of financial institutions are on governments' decisions, I think people have to have control over their money. And there should be transparency in the system, who owns what, who interacts with whom, who sponsors what, who supports what cause. And crypto allows for all of that. So in my ideal world, and this is something we've been discussing here in Silicon Valley again with a lot of our friends, in our ideal world, you belong to a government not based on the territory that you're on, but based on your beliefs. For example, I want to support green energy. And support means not just talking about this. Support means actually buying something that doesn't hurt our planet. Well, if you want to do that, join a country, virtual country, where 20% of your income automatically goes to supporting those industries. Or you think that everyone should have freedom of speech. Then you join a government digitally, where, I don't know, 10% of your income goes to this, and the government, through a DAO where everybody has a say, regulates everything. So it's basically decentralized. This puts a lot of responsibility on people. Some people might not be ready for it. Like, even I sometimes think I am not ready to bear responsibility for my MetaMask, because if I lose that 12-word key, I lose my money forever. But I can always call the bank and tell them, like, hey, I forgot my password. Can I come to your branch and get access to my account again? With crypto, you can't do it. So when we have instruments and we have more confidence in ourselves to become more responsible, I think we would be able to form governments. I'm sorry if this sounds too futuristic, but this is just the type of conversations we have with our friends. And I decided that, You know, it's time that we start thinking about this, because the world is changing and we're the ones who can help this world become a better place. This was it for me for today. I hope I gave you some food for thoughts, something to discuss with your friends, like would you join a digital government? Would you be happy if you support some cause? Would you be happy to automatically donate 10% into it instead of paying taxes, etc.? And I think just thinking macro, it really helps you build a long-term strategy. But it's also good to have an investment professional who can comment on your decisions. Thank you guys so much for watching this video up to the very end, and I hope to see you soon in the next videos. Bye bye.